Hi people, Pittsburgh Pap here with a broken oven. I was in the shower the other day and my wife screams, "The oven's on fire!" I come running out in my birthday suit, dripping wet. Open up the oven door and I found that the coil was trying to weld itself to the side of the oven. And what do we do now? The first thing you want to do is find your model number. Mine was inside the door on the little compartment on the other side of the stove. Then, using the model number, I went to appliancepartspros.com and looked up the part number for my range element. Then I found the part number and the price that they wanted, and that $51.89 would be plus shipping. So I copied the part number and I went out on the internet to find a cheaper price. I found the same part new on eBay for $23.55, and that included shipping. So if the shipping was like $8, I basically got it for $15 instead of $52 plus shipping. So that was inexpensive repair we're going to make. Your model may have a Phillips head screw back there. Mine has a 1/4 inch nut headed screw, and so I have a nut driver with a 1/4 inch socket on it I'm going to use to take that out. Then we're going to take a time out because while I have that element out of there, I'm going to clean the oven. We're just going to use this nut driver to take that out. It's not coming. I'm going to have to break it with the socket with the handle on it. Now I should be able to use the nut driver. We use the nut driver to take those out, so now it's just going to pull out the insulation. And there's the wire we're going to pull off. And like I said, I'm going to clean the oven while I have this out of the way. It's going to make it a lot easier. So we'll go ahead and do that next after I pull these the rest of the way out. Ran into a little bit of difficulty getting these up off of here just using my hands, so I'm going to pry them up with a flat bladed screwdriver to work them up off of there. Well, I swept all the chunks out of there with my shark sweeper. I got a video on that too. And now we're going to replace it. There's a little bit of a difference between this Whirlpool model and others, is that the connecting tip bends upward. So when we put it in, we're going to elevate the front of this coil to get that into the hole and then bring it back level. We're going to reconnect the yellow wire. Make sure you have the unit right side up. There's feet out on the front end that'll need to be pointing down. I'll push this connector back on, which, oh boy, looks like it's almost too fat. That's good. It went on. Okay. Started to worry there for a minute. I'm going to put the other side on. Try not to get rough with this coil. You don't want to damage it. It's got some spring to it, flex and stuff. These old hands have a little bit of trouble getting things started sometimes. There we go. Okay, now I talked about tilting it up. You want to make sure all the wire gets back in the insulation. You don't want any of that hanging around. You want it to go back in like that. Get the other other side back in there. I'm holding up on the front of the unit. Goes back in there. Slide the whole way back so it's flush. Line up your holes a little bit. Go get your screws. Make sure you get your screws started by finger straight so that they go in easily. Be a little bit of resistance because you're reinstalling, but if they're too tight, then back it out and start it again. You're cross-threaded. And then I can get that nice and tight. It's not going anywhere, so we'll tighten both of these up. And we'll put the racks back in and test fire the ovens. I'll let you know how that turns out. I do have one more tip. If your light bulbs burn out, order one of them too while you're in there. Same size screws to take the front off of that and replace it. I didn't do that. I didn't even think about it because it's been burnt out for 20 years, so why would I even think about it? Of course, we have a thermometer we hang in there because the thermostat's broke too, but we know where to set the dial. 350 is 220. This is how you prevent your wife from turning on the stove while you have your head in it. Take off the knobs. Okay. Okay, we have our oven on. I suggest you burn it off before you actually cook with it. I don't know if this has any manufacturing oils or anything on it. You're going to want to go ahead and stink the house up instead of your pizza. So I'm firing it up to really hot temperature. Going to let it cook for a while. Here's an update. It does stink. So go ahead and burn off your coil before you put it into food use. To sum up, all we used was a 1/4-inch socket. Used the handle to loosen it and the nut driver to take it out and put it back in with, and a flat bladed screwdriver to help us get that yellow wire off the end. They're down on there pretty dang tight. You can see it's glowing red. It's a $23 fix from your Pittsburgh pap. Cheaper than a new oven. Y'all have a great day now.